Hi, hello.
We're
Ep-
back, episode 2. Am
Episode
I
two.
am I not muted? Is this the first time in my Twitch life that I am not muted? Wow, this
Ah,
feels amazing. I could get used to this. I'm not gonna lie. I could get used to this. I'm Andrew Orbital.
and I'm Harlan Kelly.
Welcome to the Dungeon.
The
This is a
dungeon.
show where we chat with game masters about tabletop RPGs.
It's a nice dungeon. It's a kind
A
dungeon.
conversation dungeon.
Yeah.
But even better than that sounds, because that sounds like a terrible party where you're like trapped in the kitchen in the corner being talked at. Uh, this
Yeah,
is
the only
better.
the only like torture here is just like social anxiety of conversation, I hope,
Yeah.
which, is
And
just a
trying to
daily
fit an
torture.
interview into 30 minutes,
Truly.
which has already proved difficult. If you have any questions for us, you can ask them in the chat if we have time at the end. We will pick a few.
Yeah. Hold on to him, hit us in the end. And last on our first episode, Andrew interviewed me about being a DM. This time, I'm going to interview him. So we're going to go in.
Sweet. Yeah, we
And
thought
take.
we'd give you a little backstory on us before we start talking to third parties.
Yeah, because we're not going to talk about ourselves anymore after this. It's just
Never,
only.
not once.
So cool,
Totally.
Andrew. Tell me about your history with Dungeons and Dragons. How did you start playing? When did you start playing?
As a kid, I was not allowed to play any role playing games, specifically Dungeons and Dragons, but anything else also, because my parents thought that it would make me kill myself, because that was
What?
the hysteria at the time in the 80s. So I was not allowed to play. And now that I know what it is as an adult, it genuinely makes me pissed that during my peak nerd imagination years, I wasn't allowed to play. It is a bummer because it's so great. I mean, it's great for adults, but it's also great for kids and teenagers. So yeah, I was not allowed to play. So I would go to the mall. There was like a game store in the mall, and I would sit on the floor of that game store for hours and just look through the role playing game books, like Dungeons and Dragons, Rifts, the Ninja Turtles game, like any role playing game book, and I would just flip through and like look at the pictures and like read the descriptions. I thought it was so cool,
Wow.
but I was not allowed to play.
So you not only like wanted to play like one time, you like that it just like continued on, and you weren't allowed to do it. And you weren't allowed to do it. It wasn't just like I didn't really think about it because I wasn't allowed to.
No, I really wanted to, and and
Dang.
and if I had actually known what it was, I didn't, like the barrier for entry with D&D can be intimidating, especially back then in the 80s. So it wasn't like something that even by like flipping through the book, I was like, I know how to do this now. But if I had understood what it actually was, I would have just done it and like snuck around my parents.
Right.
I would have been like, oh no, we're playing Armor of God, or something. I would have just made up.
Yeah.
I would have made up some bullshit because I did that with music all the time. I'd be like, no, I'm listening to this Christian band called Ministry.
Yeah.
Like, uh, so I would have done it with role playing games for sure. But um,
Right, because that's
yeah,
like
it
a thing you
was.
think when you first get it. I mean, like when I first got into it as an adult, I was like, okay, I need to figure out the right way to do this, and I can't just like do it. I have to figure out the right way to do it. But I don't think that's true.
Yeah, the
Like,
learning curve can seem intimidating for sure when you start. Just the character sheet. I remember the first time I started playing in 2014. Our mutual buddy Aaron Urist, who I knew through comedy,
who's in the chat?
uh,
Having a good
he's in
time.
the chat. Hey, Aaron. I believe he's the one who brought it to me with some of our other mutual friends we played. And like you in the last episode, I was immediately hooked. I couldn't sleep that night. I was just, I was like high as a kite on the fun of playing Dungeons and Dragons, and like just like you, right off the bat, like when are we playing again? I could play every day. And then I quickly started a homebrew game, just like filled up a notebook. I was just playing. Um, and I was fortunate because I had two kids in the house, my daughter and my girlfriend at the time, her son. So I had a willing audience who could not play enough either. So we would just crank through games.
That's
And then I
so
had to take
cool.
a break. I moved to LA and I was working on a TV show, and I had zero time for any role-playing game, so I took a break. And then since then, I moved back to Colorado, and I was fortunate enough to link back up, not just with Aaron, but making new friends, like my friend Dylan, who's an awesome role-playing game player and DM. So yeah, just cannonballed right back into it.
Wait, so I want to get into the next question of what are you currently running, and you can but I want to add, I want to talk about it for a second because you run for your daughter, you run games for your daughter all the time, right? And I would love to hear just about like if there's any difference, I guess, between besides maybe just like material or whatever, like running for kids and running for groups of kids and adults, or if that is a shift for you as a DM.
It is definitely a shift, and anyone who plays with me knows when it changes, because I'll be like, Jesus Christ, like it'll get like so violent and graphic. I was running this game of Cyberpunk Red, and it was like really violent. I was definitely like every like gross thing that I hip pocketed from all my other games that I play with kids was going into that Cyberpunk Red game. But yeah, I try to keep it like PG-13. There's definitely violence. There's like death and loss and like consequences. In fact, the only player I've ever killed was my daughter in the game, which is hardcore. It was. I'd never killed anyone, so I didn't know what it would even feel like. But it was like, it was a very heavy experience, and it was like very quiet, and it was like, it was kind of surreal for, it's a tabletop game. We're just,
Was she mad at you?
Notepads, and she was like stunned. Everyone was stunned that it had happened.
Yeah.
And kind of like, no, that can't be. That can't be. And the only reason it happened, I don't want to like chat too much on this and gobble up a lot of time, but it is kind of an interesting thing. The only reason it happened is because I forgot a rule in the book about if a player is prone and unconscious and they get melee attacked, how it's an automatic crit, and then on that crit is like 2 failed death saves. So she already had 1 failed death save, and I didn't know that. So this sadistic hobgoblin general who knocked her down, then just to prove a point, after he had knocked her out, he wasn't going to just run on to the next enemy and leave her. He took a sword to stab her again while like looking at the other characters. Definitely in character for him. And I didn't think it was one of those rules that I'd never had come up, and it just, I'm sure I read it once. And so another player at the table, my friend Josh, who knows every Dungeons & Dragons rule, he was like, that's 2 failed death saves. She's dead. And I was like, what? And he's like, that's 2 failed death saves. She's dead. If she just got melee attacked while unconscious.
Boy.
And everyone is silent. And I was like, it's one of those situations that could have been like, oh, I didn't know. I forgot the rule. And no, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I stuck to it, and I stuck it out. And that's the perfect thing where, as a DM, I am a soft touch. I think anyone who plays with me would think that I like creating challenges, but I'm definitely not sadistic. I don't, at least in most of the games that I'm running. But I never would have killed my daughter. If I had remembered that rule, he would not have done that. He would have stepped over her unconscious body and attacked the next player.
Yeah.
But it was one of those perfect things where, by forgetting the rules, the bad guy character got to be his fullest expression of a bad guy.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
that is what that guy would have done. Definitely. Like, in the context of this like epic battle and everything that was going on, it all worked out. So I was like, yeah, I'm glad I forgot that rule, and I'm glad I stuck by it. So it all worked out.
Yeah, I know.
Spoiler alert, she came back. There was like a ritual she did. She got to come back to life, but she's now blind forever. Anyway.
Sure. Yeah, that's the thing I do too, is like, if I'm running a monster, they won't go for the double tap action because they're, a lot of the times it's like, oh, I'm putting down aggression that could hurt me, so I'm just going to get rid of these things and then eat my prey. But with smart bad guys, they know to not let you get back up.
To keep killing, yeah.
And
this is just another quick anecdote. This is another example of how it's weird to play with my daughter. Usually it's not weird. It's very fun. She's very imaginative, and I have a great time. But in this game, I'm running a Tales from the Loop game, which is super fun. It's like everybody gets to play a kid in this like fictional '80s setting. And in the most recent game, my daughter decided she wanted a boyfriend. She wanted to have a crush. And who has to create and control Ed, who works at Sam Goody? Me, her dad. Her dad has to be that NPC. And I
Oh my
was like, oh no, like, no, I don't want to play this guy. So immediately I had a fix for it where the
god.
this bully girl had already asked him out. So then it created a puzzle for my daughter to solve, and like a real life emotional situation that she could encounter in the future of like, this person you like, someone else has already asked them out and they've said yes. But I was like, I don't want to do that. I
That's
don't want to be a goofy teenage boy who's like going to be my daughter's boyfriend. I like a challenge as a DM, and I like inhabiting unusual characters and stuff. But I was like, that's one I could pass
that's
on
so
for
good
sure.
though. Like that's such good dungeon mastering though. It's like game mastering. It's like you know your own comfort levels, you own your own strengths. You're both acknowledging the what the player wants to do with their character, and then finding and turning it into a narrative hook. They have this desire, um, and then you're like, okay, cool. If you want to do this, you kind of have to like have this conflict or whatever, or like
Yeah, she still has to
manage that.
solve
So
solve that problem.
it's such good. It's such
And
good
then Ed will
DMing.
get hit by a car, which is sad too. But no, just kidding. Oh man.
That's so good though. I love that. That's excellent dungeon mastering. I think game mastering. Wait, so hold on. I want to dig into. That was too good to not pass up, but pass up. But I want to dig into some of the other games you're running because you're running a bunch of different types of games, and I'd love to a hear about all the different types of games you're running, and b hear just a little bit about how running other games besides Dungeons and Dragons kind of like challenges you or like helps you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll try to. So I've definitely got some Dungeons and Dragons games. I've got this game I came up with called the Fringe Company, which is
Oh,
designed
I
for
love
people
it.
to like drop in and drop out. And I've been running the main campaign of that for a while now. And then I started another campaign, which I jokingly call Northern Exposure because it's set up at the northern end of the map. And that's really fun too. And they're on the same timeline, so
That's a, can it, just
straight
to,
down
I'm
the
sorry
road.
to interrupt you again. When we first started playing together, like we didn't know each other before we started playing D&D together. And when I first started playing with you, and I found out about your Fringe Company game, which is just like beautifully designed, to solve the problem of like scheduling because people can just come and go. Everybody has the same like we're a part of this crew. It's beautiful. I don't know if you have it anywhere, but if down the road, if it's
Yeah, I'm trying to work on a book of it, but it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
okay. Well, I will plug it for the rest of this show because it's so good. But
Oh,
that was
thank you.
also the moment where I was like, "Oh, dang! I want to play games with this dude because he's thinking about things in a similar way that I am, and he's really good at it." And you've proven me right. Yeah, it's been a joy.
Oh,
Um,
thanks, man. Thanks.
okay. Anyway,
But
tell
yeah,
me
both
about
those
Alien.
campaigns are on the same timeline. But the main game, they're like level 12. They're pretty powerful. And then the northern game, they're definitely like rookies. But it'll be cool to see down the road if they can ever like meet each other and like kind of tell each other like stories about the vastly different areas they've been in and like what happened. Like, because they're very different story arcs too, because they're separated by quite a bit of geography. So that
The
would be very
most
fun.
that's like my number one DM dream is I also have two games that are running in my homebrew world, and my dream is for them to cross paths at some point, because they all for that same reason. It's just the most fun stuff to do in your brain as a DM.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And then I have another dropping game called Gold for Monsters where it's 5e and the players are they're level locked at level 5. They're monster hunters. Every game you get a contract, you either fulfill it or you don't. You never level up, but you do get paid for successful contracts, and you can use that gold to buy cooler weapons or like elixirs that will give you a feat, things like that. So you can definitely improve your character, but you don't level up in the traditional sense. But the world is pervasive. Like when you go to these towns, it's the same characters. It is like D&D in that way, but there is no campaign storyline to concentrate on. So it's like ultimate drop in, drop out, random. It's cool. You could jump into a game with strangers, and it's like cool. We're all these like
That's
rough and tough monster hunters wandering around, and that game takes place in the same landscape of the Fringe, but 500 years before. So there's like little Easter eggs for people who play the main Fringe game. They're like, oh shit, like this is the guy who started this town that I visit in this other game 500 years down the road.
That's beautiful. I love
Um,
how accessible that is. That's so you've made it just so accessible for people to play. There's a bunch of fans too in the chat right now. There's like people who have played these games and are excited about it. Someone dropped your
oh,
Patreon
sweet.
link.
Yeah, I love that Gold for Monsters is one of my favorites to run because it's very streamlined, and it's fun. The characters they can indulge some of their like more negative traits because like you're just a monster hunter. You don't have like a moral quest line that you're on. It's like you're trying to get paid one way or the other, and so those games are a lot of fun. And then I'll try to be faster here. I'm also running. We're in between the acts, but I'm running Cyberpunk Red, which is super fun. Although that game is challenging to game master because it's hard to come up with a dystopian future that's like shittier than our present. Like a lot of stuff where I'm like, isn't this bad? And it's like, it's probably worse now. Actually, it's tricky to. We live in
Oh,
such
dystopia
a
now.
weird
Yeah.
RoboCop future already that it's weird. And then I'm running Tales from the Loop, as I mentioned, which is very fun. That's in the Free League system, which I love. And then recently I started the new Alien game, which is also in the Free League system. And that one I'm the most excited about. It's very fun. It's a horror game. It's teaching me to run games in a different way because it's a horror game and the players are incredibly weak and they're not superheroes like D&D. The very very small things can seriously mess them up, and if they encounter the the alien from the title, it's over. Like they're so messed up, and so it's helping me to kind of just be like sometimes you have to have more dangerous stuff.
I love it though.
It
That it's people spend so much time talking about balancing an encounter, which I believe in and is a good skill to work on as a DM. But I'm also so for just like throwing something dangerous at a party, like and like as long as they know, what's up and they have the ability to like kind of get away. Like sometimes you got to put that alien in that room with them.
Yeah, the alien is the ultimate. Even if you're like stocked up and loaded for bear, just like in the movies, it is a bad thing to encounter. Like when you hurt it, it hurts everyone around it. But that's acid blood. It moves much faster than you. It
Oh
has
man,
incredibly one shot kill attacks. It's nothing good happens when you encounter
dude, that
this alien.
rules. I want to play this game now.
Which is fun. It's just fun to run a game like that. I could talk on and on about that game, but I've been running that game for a while and trying to ramp up doing that. I love the Free League system. It's like it's even easier to learn than Dungeons and Dragons. That's a bit more of an egalitarian system because the players roll a pool of d6s and any six is a success, and they know that there's no hidden DC values or anything where you're like, oh, didn't make it or didn't find anything. They know if they got a success. So
Interesting.
it's a very different dynamic than Dungeons and Dragons, where you have that like secret information power, where someone might roll very high. They're like, "What? I got an 18 on an insight," and you're like, "Wasn't high enough, sorry."
Yeah.
Whereas in these Free League games, the players know. They're like, "I got these sixes," and they expect successes on those
That's so
sixes. So
interesting.
it's a very interesting dynamic. It shifts things for
See,
sure.
but I love doing that of like giving players a hard check, as you know, too, and like giving them a hard check and being like, no, like you don't get it because this is you absolutely can roll for it. It's very hard to know this in the world. It's just already established, and that's not me like changing, trying to control the narrative or anything. It's just like a hard thing to know. But man,
Yeah,
that
to
it's
me
kind
that
of
helps
cool.
build mystery too. It's like, whoa, what am I dealing with here? This person is not what I thought they were. If they're.
But that's a cool aspect of like you kind of needing to be on your feet of like, oh, no matter what you had planned, this is a success, and you need to kind of
Yeah,
that's
it
awesome.
definitely it speeds up the game too because there's definitely more successes in the Free League system than in the average D&D game. So it's definitely more yes and than then no, try something else.
Cool.
For sure.
Okay, cool. Well, if anyone has any questions, throw them in the chat. We're gonna jump
Should I
to.
roll? I'll roll the
Yeah,
d20 on the table. Let's see what I get
yeah.
here. Let's
While
see.
he's rolling, we're doing our random question
Oh,
table.
I got a 5. Let's see what that is.
Both of us below 10. Let's go.
That would be. I've already kind of answered this one, so I got to pick another one. It would be: have you ever killed a player out of spite? No. The only player I've ever killed was my daughter, and like I said, I did that on
Yeah, roll
accident.
again. Roll with advantage. Take the higher,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, 19. Most memorable boss battle.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
man. I mean, it would probably be that one when my daughter got killed. That was like this hobgoblin general. That was a boss. That would definitely be memorable. Another memorable boss battle on an older campaign that I did. The big bad, the sorcerer, had secretly been promising my daughter's character like unlimited knowledge, sort of. She was like looking for her parents, and this evil sorcerer was basically like, if you help me, I can help you get the knowledge to find your parents, get that information. He was kind of just little checkpoints along their adventure. He would kind of check in with her. He could visit her in her dreams and kind of communicate with her. And so in the final climactic boss battle, he gave her the opportunity to come to his side, basically like, this is your opportunity. Will you come and,
Which feels like a classic, like join me, Luke move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And she did. She left her and her companions were like, "What? Like, no, no." They were so upset. And she left and she teleported away to his immense library of magic to take him up on his offer.
What?
And then her party mates ended up killing him. So in theory, like, she has become the new that campaign stopped, but in theory, she is now the main villain of that campaign. She took him up on that offer.
I need to back this. I just want to dig into a couple of details here, if that's okay. First off, so it was like mid-fight. This dude is like...
It was at the beginning of the fight.
Okay.
They finally reached him at this like cliffside fortress, and at the beginning he was kind of like, he had the door open to teleport and was like, if you will come with me, you can just leave right now.
I've tried that on players so many times that I thought it doesn't work. I didn't think it works, but I think
adult players would not, because adult players are like, no, I want to, like, even role playing in character, I will find a reason to not do this. But kids, they play much more both impulsively, but they're also like much truer to how they would behave. Like, she was really just role playing her character because she's in it, man. So she was like, yeah, I want to find my parents and I will abandon this party.
Dude. Yes,
I mean,
that's
it wasn't
so
like that
good.
long of a campaign, but it was long enough so that they were like, what? They could not. They were like, no, they were pissed. They were
good.
Not happy.
And wait. So it seems like from the chat that there are people in the chat who play this, but it wasn't all kids. It was like kids and adults. So she did this to like adults.
Yeah. If Aaron is in the chat, Aaron has suffered more at the hands of children in these Dungeons and Dragons games. He has played in so many of them, and they abandon him routinely. They just stand and watch him fight. He is the most long-suffering D&D player.
Oh, that's great.
It's ridiculous.
Well, just wait till I get my hands on him. We have some questions, if that's okay.
We're doing good. We got 6 minutes left.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna selfishly ask this question. How are you finding? Someone asked in the chat. How are you finding the 2-hour time slot of Better Than Heroes? It's like just playing D&D for 2 hours. Is it like, how does that feel?
That 2 hours is so fast in D&D time. It goes by so quick. It's always it's never fast enough. But every game is like that. I ran a game once. We played for 9 hours one Saturday. And if you had asked me before I looked at the clock, I'd be like, I don't know, 4 hours, like something. I definitely did not think it was a 9-hour game. When you're like having fun and you're in it, your mind is in this other place. So it goes by really fast. But I'm used to like Harlan style, where it's not like go 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 go. It's like you can hang out as long as you want and luxuriate in these details. You can. This is not a world where you have to like rush. It's not like a Hollywood set of like false facades where you're just getting to the next like benchmark. It's like you can definitely be in the world and like take your time. So with that 2 hours, it's just like it's actually kind of relaxed because it's like we don't have to get to a fight. We don't have to resolve whatever thing came up. We can like just spend time with these characters. We know the characters are going to be interesting that we run into, and we know the our other players are interesting because they're funny and interesting people. So it does go by fast, but it's like it's a lucky 2 hours for sure. It's like a fortunate 2 hours. But yeah, every game that when we stop the game, it's like I want to play for 4 hours. And even I was talking with Jordan the other day, and he's like, I want to play more than once a week. And it's like, yeah, that's the symptom of a good game. That's what happens when you're like having fun.
Whenever my players say that, I'm like, oh, that means you should start DMing because you will never run out of games to play then. Like,
Totally. But we do it also for the audience. We want to leave the people who are watching, we want to leave them wanting more, and we want to make it so much more consumable where it's like it's 2 hours, like it's like the same time commitment as a movie. We know it's on a Monday night, and down the road, if you want to binge it, it's much more bingeable in these reliable kind of 2 hour blocks instead of kind of being all over the place. Like, well, that was 7.5 hours for 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean that's my kind of my like secret that I will tell you all is I like how I'm building this up like behind the scenes. But I love D&D that feels like TV because I love watching TV. I love episodic TV, and I love episodic TV. Every time I find a new TV show that I like that's like has a million seasons, I'm so excited because I love that feeling of it just never ending. And I famously didn't watch the finale of Mad Men for like 3 years or something because I was just like didn't want it to end anyway. But so I've been trying to do that with I'm gonna continue to try and do that with Better Than Heroes, just to like make it feel like a 2 hour TV show, So it's a fun time slot for me.
That's a great way to look at it.
Cool.
Well, chat cues.
Yeah, let me see. Let me double check real quick. If not, I have 1,000 more questions for you. Now's the time. Who's got them? Get them in while you can. Before I find one, because we had a bunch and I just lose them because people are having a great time in the chat.
Quit having so much fun in the chat. We need to be able to find these questions.
Maybe write your questions in all caps. That could be our future rule. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll say I really want to know. I want to know. Do you have like a signature? Oh wait, nope. I'm gonna hold it back because. No, I'm sorry, Clundy. I don't know what that question is. Ask it again. Ask it in full. We'll take a second because he can edit this out later. But I want to know. And you ask it and you seem insistent, so I want to know what your question is. Just give me the full thing. And if not, I'm gonna ask Ghost Kicubator's question because I love that. All right, too late. Right. Oh no, he got it.
We can do two.
Okay, he got it.
We have a little window of time.
It says so. The question is, if you could play a character, who would that character be? If you could play a character.
If I could play another character.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you could play someone besides, I think like he means like in Better Than Heroes. If you could play Kai, Click, or Moon Boy.
Oh.
If you could swap.
I can't do Kai or Moon Boy's voice, so I wouldn't be able to do it justice. So I guess it would be. Who'd also be fun is Relic, that little like halfling, like swaggering halfling. I don't know if that is one of the choices, but that would be fun to play. Just this sort of like too cool, 3 foot tall dude, like who's just like talking shit. He's a fun character.
I like that. That's kind of like what Flute is trying to be anyway. Like you just answered in character almost because like Flute's trying to be that cool swamp guy.
Yeah, he's taken whatever style points he can from Relic for sure.
I would want to play, and this feels weird because some of our players are in the chat. This is not me picking favorites because I love you all so deeply. This is just I'm tipping my hand of the player characters I like to build. I love building player characters that are bad at stuff. And so I think I would play Flute because you have no hit points. And you're not a caster, so you're fragile. And I love playing fragile characters because that danger is exciting.
Yeah, my favorite character I ever came up with, and I would love to play him again. I every now and then he pops up as an NPC, but I played him once. His name is Nelvis Frothingham, and he's this dwarf, and he's like a chronic alcoholic, and he was a bard, but he's like a scribe. But what he does is he follows adventurers around, and he writes these like pulpy accounts of what they're doing.
Oh my god!
But he's not good at like joining in the adventure. He just wants to write these. These pulpy books. He's writing, it's not a fantasy novel because it's in the fantasy world, but he's writing these these larger than life stories about these people. But yeah, he was just not good. He wasn't good at anything, but it was just a fun character to play, just for the flavor of it for sure.
Yeah, I love inept characters so much. It's so good. Cool. We got time for one more. Or is that it?
We could sneak in. I mean, we're at 31 minutes. We should probably be good and land the ship.
Okay.
We'll have more episodes. You could save these questions for more.
I'm gonna write them down. I swear, I'm gonna write them down and I'm gonna keep them around. I'll pretend they're my questions.
You all are overperformed. I was like, maybe we'll get one question, maybe two questions. So
no, this is fun.
Very cool.
I can't wait to get people on here who aren't us too.
Cool.
So yeah, just a reminder: if you love your DM, tweet them at us, send them to us, have them contact us. We just want everybody on. We just want to chit chat about how you DM and share the thoughts.
Every DM is different for sure. And check out our show, Better Than Heroes, Monday night, 7 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll drop some links in the chat. Follow us, however you're listening to it. Look at the description; it's there. Come watch our game. Awesome. Watch me break all the rules that I'm talking about here.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll be back next Thursday.
Yeah, we'll see it. We're here every Thursday from now on. So come hang out with us. All right, later, y'all.
Sweet.